Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. So, wow, loads of you here already. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being members. So I've got a few things to say before I start, and I'm not sure what to say first. But I think, first of all, I'm going to introduce our new members. We have 2 new members. We have Old Hippie, became a member of the channel. And also Sir Geo became a member of the channel. So I just want to come back on the, I want to take that off now. You know what we do. So of course I still haven't made a new meme, but I need to say what I always say to new members: welcome to the family. Welcome to the family. I promise I'm going to do a new meme. I actually quite like this one. Welcome to the family. God help you. You know, that's a good one too. But anyway, I'm going to make one of my own eventually when I get time. So much to do in so little time. Anyway, so yeah, 2 new members. I just wanted to say something that sort of, remember that I don't mention other channels on my channel. I mean, I have 2 other channels who are members, which is 411 and Rustic Rage. If they come on and they say so, but in general, I don't mention other channels, not because I don't like them, but because I don't like to get into any creator thing of, you know, who I like, who I don't like, and I do like this one, and why don't you mention that one? So just a blanket ban on mentioning other channels on my channel. Okay, so now I'm going to say hello to everyone. So I've got to go quite a long way up here. Wow, yeah, lots of people, lots of chatting. Hi Jackie, thank you for saying please like. Hi David. Angela, hi Angela. Hi Desi. Oh, my little dog's just come to give me a cuddle. Hi Daisy. I'm just Chumba. Hi Chumba. Hi Ali. Waiting with bated breath. Hope you're not disappointed. Let's see. Matthew. Hi Matthew. Thank you for being here. Going down. Eleanor, you're on time. Hello. Said hello to Matthew, didn't I? Ali, Funky. Hi, Funky. Gosh, lots of chatting going on here. Do I really even need to do a video? You could just all chat. Eleanor, no wine tonight. I'm on chocolate milk tonight, but cheers anyway. Hope I don't miss a Princess. Hi, Princess. I think I've said hello to Angela. There they go, the dogs again. Here we go. They know, yeah, it's 8 o'clock. It's alive. Yes, remember to press the likes. Desi, Chumba. Lady Dog Lover. Jean. Hi, Jean. Gosh, there's a lot of chat. Hi, Jojo. Don't worry about not being around. Hi, Saskia. Shush. Hi, Rio. Oh, you've got a dodgy tummy. Oh, you're going off tomorrow on your hollybobs, aren't you? Going off on your hollybobs. Have a good time. I hope you get good weather. I think you might get good weather. Lewis. Hi, Jojo and Lewis. Who's Lewis? Oh, he's with Jojo. Sorry. Oh my God, there's so many. I think I finally got to the back. So to the bottom. Rustic Rage. Hi, Rustic Rage. Okay. So I think I've said hello to everybody who's here so far, or at least who's in the chat so far. I know there might be other people watching. Some people don't like participating in the chat. You know, they're shy or whatever, or they're lurking. I mean, who knows? But hello to everybody. Thank you. Everybody who is here at this moment, anyway, is a member. This video probably will go out edited publicly later. But if you're watching the unedited version, then you will be a member. So thank you. Welcome. So I've welcomed the new members. I've said hello to everybody. As I say, hopefully I won't miss anybody if they come in now. But what we're going to look at first of all now. So, oh, Lewis is your son. How old is he? Jojo, your son? Sorry, I've just been nosy. See, that's the problem with me. I'm too nosy. I get involved in the chat. And really, what I should be doing is concentrating on the video. But I'm like looking to see, oh dear. Too nosy. That's me. Too nosy. Want to know what's going on. I'm frightened I might be missing something in the chat. So first thing I wanted to address is the video that I made last week sometime, talking about the autopsy reports, you know, where it was mentioned about suffocation. So, you know, somebody that I knew that was there at the inquest, and they had written down clearly in their notes that that was mentioned. Oh, and now I know, so I've said hello to Jojo. Did I say hello to Joe H? I hope I did, but anyway. So it caused a bit of a controversy, didn't it, with the petinike or whatever it's called in the eyes. And, you know, as calling it suffocation, asphyxiation, you know, as lay people, first thing we think of when you hear of suffocation is you think of a pillow going over somebody's head or something like that, don't you? The suffocation we think, I think, just generally as, you know, something like that, a hand over someone's mouth or a pillow going over their head or whatever. Saskia, you sound like me now. I hope I've not missed anyone that's like me, isn't it? Patty K. Yeah, it sounds like Peter K, doesn't it? Anyway, so I thought, you know, it is unusual. The Patty K is unusual in drowning victims, but not unheard of. And a lot of medical people have commented on that in my comments on that video. That yes, it, you know, and they've said that they've agreed with that. That it's rare, but we have to remember it's not unheard of. So it doesn't mean that Nicola didn't die of drowning. It just means it's just an anomaly. And if you remember in that video that I did, what Peter Blexley said, that people will there'll still be wild speculation if the autopsy is not clear. And the autopsy, I'm afraid, is not clear. And that's why there is still speculation. It hasn't, nobody feels sort of satisfied with it, that it's been cleared up, you know. Hi, Sharon Twist. You know, so it's still sort of, we don't feel, you know, and there's the mud in the lungs and the bruises on the body and you know, all the different things. So that's why everybody is so, I think what I'm going to have to find one day is an inquest report on someone who did die of drowning and see how it's described in that. You know, is it this, you know, you see if those things come up in it. I don't know where I'm going to find that, but I'm going to try and look for it, because I think we have to try and clear this up a little bit. Anyway, something that I did look up was how suffocation, you know, how it was medically explained. So when they say suffocation, and they mean asphyxiation. And asphyxiation, I mean, she did say that Nicola died of asphyxiation. And I remember taking a gasp when that came out in the inquest, because to me, asphyxiation, again, you think of it in suffocation cases or strangling victims, etc. But maybe this is just the view we've got as the public, you know, of what we, you know, I would never have thought of. I suppose I just would have thought, oh, it'd be died of drowning or whatever, you know, not asphyxiation. But anyway, so according to the Cleveland Clinic, which is a medical clinic, obviously, asphyxiation is when you don't get enough oxygen in your body. So it can be from all kinds of causes, allergic reactions even. Hey! So even someone who's died of asthma, you know, or an asthma attack, or an asthma attack, or it's just, honestly, God, you could write a script. They're knocking all the balls over. Honestly, it's chaos. It's chaos. So even somebody who died of an asthma attack would be found to have died of asphyxiation, or if they choked on something. So basically what they're saying is that asphyxiation is when you don't get enough oxygen in your body for whatever reason. So it could be allergic reaction, drowning, foreign objects blocking your airway, trouble breathing. Oh, so now this I did find interesting. So symptoms include trouble breathing, loss of consciousness, and the inability to speak. You can prevent asphyxiation by being cautious. Treatment includes CPR, the Heimlich maneuver, and medications. And you know, once my ex-partner, who of course a lot of you will know about from my book or from videos that you've seen, you know, who unfortunately did unalive himself. One night we were out in a restaurant in Reading, and a guy on a table, a couple of tables away from us, he just started choking. And my partner, Terry, went over to him, picked him up and did the Heimlich maneuver on him. And this sort of, you know, whatever he was eating sort of shot out. I think it was a piece of steak. So there you go. Don't eat meat. I'm not eating meat at the moment. I've been a failed vegetarian all my life. I've been vegetarian, not vegetarian. Anyway, I'm on the vegetarian thing at the moment, but not vegan, but vegetarian. I'm a pescatarian actually, because I'm still eating fish. Anyway, digressing, sorry. So this guy, you know, my partner, he saved his life. He completely saved his life because he did, I can't even remember why he knew the Heimlich maneuver, whether he'd probably just seen it on a film or something. I don't think he'd ever done any training like that. But he did it on this guy, this piece of steak or whatever shot out of his mouth, and that was it. It was okay. He carried on eating his meal, and that was it. And he didn't even buy Terry a drink, you know. But anyway, there you go. But so that's how you can prevent. And of course, CPR, if someone drowns and you manage to get them out and you perform CPR, it clears the airway, doesn't it? So treatment of asphyxiation includes CPR, the Heimlich maneuver, and medications. So asphyxiation is when your body doesn't get enough oxygen. Asphyxiation affects how you breathe. It may cause you to pass out unconsciousness. It can also cause death. Other names for asphyxiation include asphyxia and suffocation. Anyway, so it goes through the different... Stop it. It goes through a few different kinds of asphyxiation. And then it says, how common is asphyxiation? Asphyxiation is very common. This is an American medical center. So in 2016, nearly 19,000 people in the United States died from asphyxiation. And unfortunately, it's quite common in children. Now, then it goes on to say, how does asphyxia affect my body? And it goes on into these things. In drowning, it says that in approximately 10% of drownings, your vocal cords suddenly stop working, which is a laryngospasm. When you first gasp water, you'll die from asphyxiation, but you won't have any water in your lungs. So you won't necessarily have any water in your lungs because your vocal cords will seize up, I suppose. That's 10% of drownings. In the other 90%, the muscles in your glottis relax. That's the space between your vocal cords. They relax and water enters your lungs. Your body will quickly absorb fresh water. Shut up. No, that's enough. Last warning. Seriously, or you're going in the bathroom. Fresh water will dilute the plasma in your blood and break down your red blood cells, but salt water will draw fluids from your circulatory system into your lungs and decrease the amount of plasma in your blood. So Nicola will have drowned in fresh water, won't she? So your body will quickly absorb fresh water. Now, something that interested me, because at the bottom it's the symptoms and causes. Now, we've got to remember about the welfare check on the 10th of January. It's all very mysterious, that, isn't it? Because the policeman didn't have his body cam turned on. Well, if you believe that, you'll believe anything. This is what makes me wonder, you know, is there still an investigation going on? Because why? There's no way that he didn't have his body cam turned on. Of course he had his body cam turned on. Anyway, symptoms of asphyxiation, shortness of breath, hyperventilation, loss of consciousness, coughing, raspy or hoarse voice, inability to speak, face or lip discoloration, difficulty or inability to swallow, memory loss, dizziness, headaches. Now, you know, I don't believe in, you know, on Facebook, there are so many different things that you see and not all of it is true. So you can't always believe everything that you see, but there's a lot of things going around on Facebook of messages of people saying about DV, about domestic violence in Nicola's case. Now, I don't know for certain, you know, whether there was domestic violence or not. But that night, when the welfare check was made, when Louise phoned the ambulance for her sister because she thought she'd had too much to drink, there must be more to it than that. She didn't phone the ambulance just because Nicola had had too much to drink. I just don't believe that. You know, how many times do people have too much to drink? There's obviously more to it. Now, there was some comment that supposedly she'd said, you know, that she didn't want to be there or she wasn't engaging with the children. But it hasn't been elaborated on, has it? It hasn't been made clear what Nicola said, you know, and at the inquest, it was really presented just to, all that was sort of ignored because it was, they were desperately trying to avoid the verdict of self-deletion, weren't they? So those things weren't really gone into. But you know what they did say was that she seemed confused. She seemed like she didn't know what had happened. She said, I don't know how this has happened. You know, those sort of things. And then, of course, the next night she was in A&E having a head injury checked out. So all these are other things, aren't they, that we feel sort of unsure about. So it just makes you wonder, you know, had she been, you know, I don't know if these Facebook things are right or not, who knows. But, you know, there are, I've screenshotted some just today even, and they have got names on them, you know, they're not anonymous posts. But I don't know the people that are posting them. So, you know, I don't know if what they're saying is genuine or not. It always comes down to that, doesn't it? You know, are these people genuine? Are they just trying to stir things up? I don't know what's saying, you know, about this domestic violence. There's a lot of talk about it, isn't there? So who knows? When will we ever find out the truth? You know, I've started to think about, Louise, that if you're members, you'll see there's, you know, there's one video in particular of Louise. She did strange, but I hate to say that, because at the end of the day, she's Nicola's sister, and she did get very upset at the inquest. But you know what, I've said to someone else, and Paul got upset at the inquest, but you know, people do get upset, even people that have done terrible things. You know, it doesn't, you know, oh God, if only you could see inside people's minds, isn't it, and actually see what they were thinking. But anyway, so I'm just presenting this as, you know, what suffocation or asphyxiation is, and its symptoms. You know, if she had been, if something had happened to her before, you know, I just don't know. Now, and something that I'm going to show you later tonight will make you see why I'm a little bit, you know, confused. Well, I've been confused since the beginning. I don't, since the inquest, and I think a lot of people have said the same, I don't feel less confused. I feel more confused. But what I just want to look at now is the press conference, because this is another thing. We forget about a lot of things. You have to go over things, watch them again. And yeah, you sometimes, now looking back at things from the beginning, that we now knowing what we know now after the inquest, and that we get a different view of it, don't we? And that could be also, you know, so what I wanted to look at, what we're going to look at now, is the press conference with Rebecca Smith and the other guy, Peter Lawson, who's the assistant chief constable for the area. And we're going to just have a listen of that. And yeah, the thing is that Nicola had been to the dentist not long before. In between the welfare check and in between when she died, she went to the dentist for restorative work. So, you know, hi, Ruth. Yeah, exactly, Joe. I'm exactly the same. I've gone through. No, you know, it's. I can't, but I still cannot believe that it's that she fell in accidentally. That I do not believe. I don't believe she took her own life, and I don't believe she fell in accidentally. So where does that leave us? You know, so you know, that's what I think. I can't see. I've been there. I've seen it. How could she have fallen in? She cannot have fallen in unless she went right to the edge, or she jumped in. And I don't believe that she jumped in. Now, I know there's been theories that maybe she was pushed in. I think she might have been pushed in, but not by Penny. No, I just don't. I just don't believe it. I could be completely wrong, but I don't believe it, not for a minute. So then you've got to think, well, what did happen then? You know, and I have a little theory, but I don't know, because then when I have mentioned it once ages ago and got laughed, you know, off and trolled about it. But, you know, I don't know. No, I don't think that the police are any. I don't think it's anything to do with the police. Personally, I don't think there's any cover up by the police. I just think they were rubbish, and now they're trying to catch up. And the thing is, that's been proven, or it's made me feel better, that one of my subscribers who wrote to me and let me know that, you know, they were still investigating CCTV at the garage, etc., after Nicola had been found. Now, they should have investigated that before, of course, but you know what you've got to remember about St. Michael's is it's a tiny little village. Nothing ever happens there. It's not like it's rare for there to be, you know, people have walk along that river day in, day out, and nothing ever happens. So there was no reason. I think they just assumed that nothing had happened, no foul play had happened. And then by the time they thought, oh, there might have been some foul play, It was too late. That's my personal opinion. I don't think the police are involved in any cover-up or anything like that. Because you've got to think, why? Why? You know, why would the police do that? Well, Eleanor, what you were saying there, if you look at that first interview with the mum, dad and Louise, Dad is looking at, there was something that struck me at the time. So Dad's looking at Louise through side eyes. And also he says, oh, we are a close family. We are, as if he's like trying to profess too much. But anyway, I don't know. So let's have a look at this press conference and see if we can see anything differently now. You know, do we look at this in a different way?
Very good morning, and thank you for your flexibility with a slight change in timing for this this press conference. My name is Peter Lawson, and
now I just want to say I am going to sometimes fast because it's 36 minutes. I don't think we want to, but we'll see.
Assistant Chief Constable here with Lancashire Constabulary. I'm joined to my left by Detective Superintendent Becky Smith. Becky is the Senior Investigating Officer, SIO, in the investigation to find Nicola Bulley. I want to thank you for making the effort to come here this morning so that we could give you an update on our investigation to find Nicola. She and her family remain foremost in our thoughts and our priorities in the investigation. Some of what Becky and I will say today has already been made public and has been widely reported, but I'm acutely aware that there continues to be extensive media interest, commentary, speculation, and indeed some criticism of our police investigation. Therefore, to try and address...
I think that was telling because it was the criticism, wasn't it, of the police. That's what we have to remember. And we saw in the other video that I did, the criticism didn't only come from like us, from social media. It came from ex-policemen, came from Peter Blexley, it came from loads of people, you know, who knew what they were talking about. And at the end of the day, the only reason that Lancashire Police are giving this press conference is to cover their own backs.
Some of that we will take you through in some detail, more than would normally be the case with an investigation. What exactly have we done over the last 19 days and continue to do?
The other thing it makes you wonder is, was that Andrew Snowman saying to them, get out there and make this right because, you know, it's looking bad for my Twitter account?
To remind us, Nicola went missing on the morning of Friday, the 27th of January. And since that time, we have done an unprecedented amount of work on the investigation to try and find her. The sole focus of that work is to find Nicola, to bring her home to her family and give them the answers they so desperately need.
Now, straight away there, I'm seeing something that is, because he's saying, oh, we've done an unprecedented amount of work to find out what happened to Nicola. He'll go on now to say about all. Now, this subscriber of mine, I know it's only hearsay and it's just what someone's telling, but I've no reason to believe why they're lying, was telling me that the CCTV from the garage, the person that they knew that was contacted and that, you know, brought in for an interview, that was after Nicola was found. They hadn't, I think they were so slow on the back foot. If you know that area where the bridge is, the garage is right opposite, you know, right over the road. The garage should have been, that would have been the first place you'd go to if you know, it's because they didn't suspect foul play. That's why they didn't go to the garage, because whoever was passing through that village, who might have done something, who might have whatever, you know, at the time that Nicola was missing, they didn't know she'd been abducted, they didn't know what had happened to her, or even if she'd gone off of her own volition with someone. The garage is a place to meet someone, isn't it? The garage is the first place that you go, especially because it's so close to where the thing happened, whatever happened. So to think that they didn't go through all that thing, I really now I'm starting to think, is that why the inquest was given 3 months? Because were they hoping that they might turn something up? Because really, that inquest, what came up at that inquest could have been done in a couple of weeks, couldn't it? Why did it have to be 3 months? There's a lot going on. I think there's a lot more to this.
The investigations involved a dedicated team of more than 40 detectives. They've been looking through hundreds of hours of CCTV, dashcam footage, speaking to numerous witnesses, carrying out digital inquiries.
But not the garage, not by then anyway.
And examining literally hundreds of pieces of information submitted by the public. And I would like to thank the public for all of their assistance throughout this investigation. There are also dozens of other officers and staff who have helped in the investigation, searches and reassurance for the local community in St Michael's. We've involved a range of specialists, both locally, regionally and nationally. The investigation has not wanted at any stage for experts who are the best in their field available to law enforcement in the UK.
Now, see, there again, they sort of contradict. So they keep telling us, they were telling us all the time how, you know, they did all the search, the people they put on the search for the river, you know, the dive experts, Peter Folden, I suppose, though they seem to clash with him. There seemed to be a clash. There was something between the police and him. It was like, you know, there were, you know, anyway. So they're telling us all this, but they did not, and they've kicked themselves in the foot, really, because despite all this that they were saying that they were doing and the lengths they were going to find her, they did not find her for 21 days. So why? You know, when they had everything. And, you know, and I know sometimes river victims, drowning victims, don't get found for a while, but it wasn't not normally. It's normally not when it's in such a small river as this, and when there's so many people supposedly, you know, such lengths taken to search for her. I don't know. I just don't believe it. I don't believe what he's saying. I don't think they tried that hard, because I think they just thought she had, you know, there was no foul play. She had unalived. I think they thought right from the beginning that she had thrown herself in that river.
I would emphasise that it remains the case. There is no evidence to indicate a criminal aspect or third-party involvement in Nicola's disappearance. However, the officers involved in the investigation are the same experienced specialists and many senior officers who are concerned with the investigation.
So now he's saying that there, but we found out the inquest, there was a man in black and there were screams heard. So if that's no, you know, this will always confuse me, because are they saying that Mr. Fife was a liar, that he didn't see the man in black twice? You know, it wasn't as if he was just saying, oh, I think I might have seen a man in black. You know, he saw him, he walked past him, he saw him twice, he saw him walk in the direction of Nicola, according to him. So basically what they're saying is he is a liar. So is he a liar? You know, I don't know. And what about the screams?
Investigation of the most serious and complex crimes. That is the importance and focus we have given to the investigation to find Nicola. To give you some...
See, again, that doesn't make sense, because he's just said we've brought in people who are... If what he's saying is true, no foul play. So he's contradicting himself in every word. No foul play, definitely no foul play. But we've brought in people who deal with really serious crime. No, it doesn't make sense, any of it, does it?
Figures to back up some of what I've described. We visited more than 300 premises, spoken to almost 300 people, and received around about 1,500 pieces of information into the inquiry. In terms of the physical searches, both water-based and on land, we've used specialist resources from both police, a range of other agencies, and I'm grateful to those other agencies who've supported us. And in police assets, that's included the Northwest Underwater Search Unit, police drones, horses, dogs, and the police helicopter. We continue to search extensively the River Wyre.
So with all that, though, they didn't find her. They didn't find her.
And surrounding area downstream and out into the sea towards the estuary. We've consulted with national experts in their field, including environmental and tidal experts. And we're carrying out have carried out an extensive land search surrounding the river, including some properties around the area where Nicola went missing. Slides have been made available for you to see, which show in some detail exactly where we have searched, but it's important to say that our activity has at every stage been directed by expert trained police search advisors who we term pulsers, and they've been following a nationally recognised doctrine around search strategy, which will be followed by any expert police search advisor in UK policing.
But we didn't find her for 3 weeks. In fact, they never found her because Jason found her. You know, that's how ridiculous it is. Because he's saying all this, they never found her. Not only they didn't find her in 3 weeks, they never found her because they were nowhere to be seen when Jason was walking along the banks of the river and just spotted her when she popped up after Emma's last push.
The lead police search advisor is here, and at the conclusion of the press conference, if you have any specific questions on a one-to-one basis with that officer, he will be able to assist with those. So it remains the case at the present time that there is no evidence in all the exhaustive inquiries we've made that suggests any crime has been committed or that there is any third-party involvement in Nicola's disappearance. It is important for me to stress that the investigation continues, it is ongoing, and we are meticulously reviewing all information gathered from members of Nicola's family, the public, CCTV, dashcam, and other digital devices, to name just a few. We're also continuing to regularly consult with national experts from the National Crime.
Okay, we're just going to move on a little bit now to, oh, here she is, Becky. Now, no, I was trying to be very nice about Becky in the beginning because I thought, God, she's got to be quiet. She's done well to get where she is. But she was so defensive.
Missing. I'll go through a timeline of events for you, followed by a number of topic areas that I believe are of interest to you. Also going on to a couple of areas that have been highlighted in the press, which I want to explain in detail. So first of all, I just want to say, is it me or she doesn't want to fucking be there? First of all, she's just like, I don't want to be here. Why have I got to be here explaining myself? You know, F off and just leave me alone and let me get on with it. Why am I even here having to explain to the public? That's the feeling that comes off her, isn't it? All that defensiveness. Well, Nicola Bulley was reported missing on Friday the 27th of January after dropping her children at St Michael's School in St Michael's. As soon as she was reported missing, following the information that was provided to the police by her partner Paul, and based on a number of specific vulnerabilities that we were made aware of.
So this was the first time, wasn't it, that we heard about so based on the information supplied by her partner Paul. Now notice it's not supplied by the family for a change. Normally it's the family, everything. And when I play that thing, welcome to the family, it's like, oh my, well, who is the family? But she says there by Paul, specific vulnerabilities provided by Paul. And this was the first that we'd heard of that, because when Paul gave his interview with Dan, he was like, she was a rock and she was this and she was that. He never mentioned anything about vulnerabilities. Now suddenly we find out there's all these vulnerabilities that have never been mentioned.
Nicola was graded as high risk. That is normal in a missing person from investigation with the information we were in possession of. She was immediately treated as a MISPA. And then on the Monday, the 30th of January, I was identified as the senior investigating officer. At that time, we reviewed all the information that had been gathered in the days prior to her being reported. And as any senior investigating officer does, you form a number of hypotheses. That is, scenarios which are possible from the information to hand. Those hypotheses included the one that she possibly could have gone into the river, that there could have been third-party involvement, and lastly, that she could have left the area voluntarily. Those hypotheses have remained in place throughout, are reviewed regularly, as is normal with any SIO running a major investigation. At the initial stages, based on the information I received, I made it clear that it was my working hypothesis at that time, based with all the facts, that the main hypothesis I was working on at that time was that Nicola had gone in the river. This has been misconstrued in the press.
So this is where she gets really, this has been misconstrued in the press. She's very contemptuous, defensive, as I say. And normally when people get defensive, it is normally because they know they've made a total cock-up of something, isn't it?
And said that that was what I said. I said that was my main working hypothesis at that time, and that remains my main working hypothesis. I think it's clear to see that the amount of effort, hours worked, resources that we have put into this investigation, that we have always been open-minded. Those three hypotheses and scenarios have been continually reviewed and continue to do so to this day. But as Mr. Dawson has said, at the minute, with the information...
Mr. Dawson, I thought his name was Mr. Lawson. I thought his name was Peter Lawson. She just said, as Mr. Dawson has said.
That we have received and reviewed, there is not a single piece of information or evidence to suggest that there is any third-party involvement in this investigation. And that continues and will continue to do so until we have reviewed all the information received. So in terms of the actual timeline, Nicola Bulley dropped her children off at school at about 8:40 on Friday the 27th of January. That was normal. And she then proceeded, after chatting to a couple of people in the school yard, walked up Garstang Road and onto the river path over an iron bridge that takes you down to these fields. We know that because there are witnesses who have identified her, and also from her phone data. We know that Nicola entered the field, and now
I just want to say here, they know that Nicola, because of the phone data, that, you know, I don't know, but that might not have been Nicola. That was her phone. That was her phone. And I think that's an important point, because she was never seen, you know, on dash cam or anything like that. There is no dash cam to show her going down there. This is her phone, which may be important, because that doesn't mean to say it was Nicola, does it? I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying. And the people that did see her after I think, you know, people actually spoke to her, didn't they, in the school car park, etc., at schoolyard or whatever. So I think we can assume that she was there because people did speak to her, not just Emma. Oh, and that was the other funny thing, was that Emma did say that she saw her. Said, oh, you know, I saw her and we waved and we went on our busy routines of the day. But Emma was not called to the inquest. The other ones were called to the inquest. And so I think we can assume that she actually did drop the girls off at school, because people did actually see her and speak to her. But it's after that I don't think there is any, there's no, you know, dash cam footage or anything. But her phone, so they know from her phone. That's how they know it.
Made a couple of messages on her mobile phone, one to her boss and one to a friend, making arrangements for a play date for her children. And at 9:01, we know she logged into a work call on Teams.
Yeah, so all these things are things that she did. They're saying she did, but they don't know it was her. Someone did it. I'm not saying it wasn't her. I'm just saying they don't know for definite that that was her.
Again, there has been lots of speculation about this. This was a perfectly normal call for Nicola to have. It was work related. She would never have had the microphone or camera on because it was more of an informative session. She didn't need to sign into it. She did so to enable her with her business. So I know there have been inquiries as to whether anybody else on the Teams call would have been able to hear or provide us with any information. I can assure you from the outset that was investigated thoroughly, and that is not the case. We know at this time that there were a number of dog walkers in the area, and we've been extremely fortunate from the very start of this inquiry to have a number of witnesses, key witnesses, who know Nicola. So there is no miscommunication about the identification of who is in that field. And
okay, so she's determined. She's saying there's no controversy. It was definitely Nicola in the field. So now something I just wanted to mention, something that I've thought about now, I've not mentioned before, that I keep forgetting to say. And any of you that are out there who were at the inquest maybe can let me know if it's true or not, but she didn't seem to play a big part in the inquest. You know, there wasn't like, it was just like, well, was there any foul play? No, there wasn't any foul play. Okay, bye. You know, that's the impression I got from reading like reports, because all I was looking at the time were like the reports from the Manchester Evening News or Lancashire Live or whatever about what was happening in the inquest. And it just, I remember it sort of striking me that it didn't seem like she took much part in it or had much to say. But any of you that were there, maybe you can let me know what you think about that. And what was your impression of her if you saw her being interviewed? Because to me, it just seemed like, well, she was there and then she was gone. And what did she really offer to the inquest?
Also, we've viewed a substantial amount of CCTV. Again, whilst we can't cover the whole area with CCTV, we've been really fortunate in that we've had a lot, which has really been able to help us in pin down both Nicola's movements and also the movements of key witnesses, which is why we were able to give a timeline of events.
See, she says there they've been helpful in helping us pin down Nicola's movements, as if there was some CCTV of Nicola. But there wasn't, was there? Or nobody's at the only CCTV that's been shown of Nicola is of her coming out that morning, that very poignant picture that they put out after the inquest of them all coming out. Willow, the two girls, Paul and Nicola. Nicola looked really pissed off, didn't she? In that, the other CCTV that Paul or his mate or whatever sent to Ghastly True Crime, that you could tell Nicola was not happy that morning for whatever reason. She looked angry, and she was hardly looking at Paul. He was looking at her as if like trying to gauge what a mood was or whatever. Who knows what happened that morning? I don't know between them, but it felt weird. And then we only saw her coming out. We never saw her driving off. We didn't see Paul go back. This is another one of those mysteries to me. Why not just show the whole CCTV of him coming out, Paul going back into the house, Nicola driving off? Why is it just like this sort of little snippet of CCTV? Why? I don't understand it, because it just makes things even more mysterious than they already are.
Quite quickly, but reiterating that we were remaining open-minded to all three of those scenarios. So Nicola was last seen in the field, which we've called the upper field, at about 9:10 that morning. At that time, everything seemed normal. She was walking her dog Willow, who was off the lead. And again, a number of issues and inconsistencies have been raised in relation to Willow and her harness. It was really normal for Willow not to have her harness on. They never kept the harness on when they were in that field. the harness would be taken off Willow when they entered the field and would only be put back on when they were ready to leave the field. So at approximately 9:10, a witness that knows her had the last sighting, and that was at the upper field. And when I say an approximate time, it is that, but we are basing that on obviously the times that we can say that witness left the field.
Oh, there you go. So she's saying it's an approximate time. Because you know what, I gave up on the timeline quite a long time ago because it just seemed every time you looked at it, it changed, you know, and look at her face there. She knows that's crap, you know, or like it's not exact. And she is admitting it, and you can see on her face there, can't you? You can see clearly in her face. She knows that this timeline is not reliable.
So I'm quite confident it is around that time. We then know from digital data that at some time around 9:20, we believe that Nicola's handset had moved towards the bench area. Again,
see, that's another strange thing, isn't it? They kept saying that the handset moved to the bench area. Like they never said, oh, we know that Nicola put her phone on the bench, or that Nicola went over and sat down on the bench, or she went over to the bench. They've always said that right from the beginning. The handset moved to the bench area. I mean, if that's not cryptic, what is, you know, it's like...
Then there have been questions raised about her phone, whether that would have been in her possession when whatever happened has happened. But again, I'd just like to point her out that it's really normal for Nicola when in a Teams call to be holding her phone out in front of her, listening to it. And we can say from a witness that knows her that morning, that is what she was doing. So that would explain why she doesn't have her phone in her pocket, as I know.
Now, it might explain why she didn't have her phone in her pocket, but why would she put the phone on the bench? No, I think like what Paul was trying to say in the end at the inquest, wasn't it? That she'd gone to put the harness on the dog. You know, like, so she put the phone on the bench to put the harness on the dog. And believe me, I've seen a million pictures of Willow with her. You don't take a dog's harness off. You take the lead off and let it run around, and then you do not take the harness off. That, in fact, the more I'm now saying it, I'm getting all these feelings back that I had before. I know I've had dogs, you know, you've got the harness on, put the lead on the harness, and when you want to let the dog off the lead, you take the lead off the harness. You don't take the harness off because it's a right fact putting it back on. And the other thing, of course, that we didn't find out till later is that the lead was still attached to Willow. The lead was, his collar was on, her collar was on, and the extendable lead was, Anne-Marie testified to that at the inquest, or gave that evidence. I don't think she was actually at the inquest, but why was she not at the inquest as well? That's another thing. But anyway, but she said that at first the dog was reluctant to go with her, and then she realised that the lead, you know, those retractable leads, it was stuck up at the dog's neck. So when she pulled that away, then the dog came willingly. So yeah, gosh, you know, when you go over these things, it's important because you have to remember why you felt the way you did at the time, because it's, as time goes on, it's easy.
No, a number of people have raised. We then know at about 9:33, a local dog walker who is walking a dog comes across the bench and finds Willow.
Now we know now that this was Penny.
Untied, running between the bench and the gate. The mobile phone is on the bench, face upwards, still logged into the Teams call, and Willow's harness is halfway between the bench and the riverside. That witness makes a number, before returning home, she then returns and makes a number of phone calls to people, because at that point she doesn't know who the dog belongs to or who the phone belongs to, and doesn't know how to get in touch with people. She makes a number of inquiries with a local vet.
Now, just one thing that I would say, that I don't believe that she didn't know who the dog belonged to, because you always know the dog. You might not know the person, but when you go walking in the same place with your dog, any of you out there that's got dogs, you'll know. You see the same dogs, especially a place like that where everybody knows each other. You see the same people, you see the same dogs, and you might not even know that person or ever speak to them. Quite often what you know is the dog's name, isn't it? Not the person's name. But you recognise the dog and you associate a person with that dog, don't you?
Who can't assist her, and following a number of inquiries, eventually people return to the bench, recover the handset and Willow, and we find out that obviously they belong to Nicola.
Now, another thing that I want to say is that in one of the earlier press interviews, silly Riley Sally, and she probably isn't silly, maybe, but she said that the dog was found an hour later. So, why is it all these discrepancies?
The alarm is then raised with the local school, who then in turn contact Paul, Nicola's partner, who then makes to the scene. Just moving on to CCTV, like I've said, we are really fortunate in this inquiry that we've been able to narrow down a lot of the witnesses in the area's movements and to some extent Nicola's, but we can't complete that totally. The area at the top of the field.
When she says we can't complete that totally, what she means is there are no CCTV sightings of Nicola going onto the field.
Rowan Water has CCTV that covers the gate that enters the field and the front of the site. That is working. The site managers have been cooperating with us and so supportive of this investigation at every stage. And we can say that Nicola has not entered that area or left. We can also say that nobody that we haven't traced and spoken to and discounted has left or entered Rowan Water. The second point on CCTV is Allotment Lane. Again, we've been really, really fortunate, despite it being such a rural area, that we've got numerous sites of CCTV on that road. And that is why we can be confident that Nicola has not gone down that road. Unfortunately, the main entrance and exit to the fields is via the river path, as we refer to it. And that river path goes back to Garstang Road. You can fork off slightly, which takes you at the back of the Grapes pub, which would bring you back onto the main road.
Yeah, when I went there is a little path. It was very overgrown when we went because it was summertime in July. But there is a path at the side of the Grapes that you can go down, yeah.
But again, that is covered by CCTV, and we know she hasn't left by that entrance. So talking about the river path, this has always been, and we've made this really clear in previous briefings and bulletins, that this has been our focus. And to do this, because of the lack of CCTV on the main road, we've had to appeal numerous times for motorists and cyclists in the area to send us through any potential clips of dash cam. And our intention is to review every one of those, however small they might be, to make sure that on none of those, Nicola is seen. At this stage, none of that dash cam has indicated that Nicola is there. However, I'd just like to point out, we are still reviewing those pieces of information. What I can say, which we've established only yesterday, was that if Nicola had left out of the river path and turned right, she has not reached the Grape pub. And we can say that because we have CCTV covering both sides of that pavement. So moving on to Nicola's phone, I've talked to you about the discrepancies that have been flagged up with the Teams call, whether she would have had that in front of her, whether she would have had that in a pocket. And we can say with confidence that Nicola that morning, whilst logged into her Teams call, had the phone out in front of her, listening to that call. We have, of course, like you would in any major inquiry, done an exhaustive amount of work with that phone. We have digital media experts doing everything we can with that. And that has enabled us to help us with her movements in the field, corroborated by the witness accounts. Moving on to the Fitbit, as I know this has been of interest. Unfortunately, despite many technicians and specialists looking at this, there is no further information that we can gain from that because it hadn't been synced for a number of days.
You know, that Fitbit, I do feel like the Fitbit is, I've said it before, it's like the Holy Grail. It's like the answer to so many things. How can it not be? I don't know, it said it hadn't been synced, you know. What does that mean? I mean, and then later said it hadn't been synced, but then later they said that it carried on registering heartbeats for 7 days or whatever after she supposedly died. So, you know, I do think that the Fitbit is key, is crucial, but are they withholding information, or are they just, you know, has somebody messed around with it? I mean, what?
Just in relation to digital inquiries, there is further work that we are doing on Nicola's social media accounts this morning. The family are totally aware of this, but this work that we're doing might show Nicola as being online. I want to make this really clear. We have control of this phone. This will be the police that is doing these inquiries, and that nobody needs to be concerned or to contact the incident room in relation to this. Moving back to my original...
Now, I just want to say something that's sort of not really to do with what she's saying at the moment. But, you know, I received a lot of emails from people who lived in that area who were worried about walking their dogs, not because of falling into the river, but because what had happened, because they know for certain that Nicola did not fall into the river, because they walk there day in, day out, and they say it's virtually impossible. You know, they just could not see how she could fall into the river unless she literally went and stood right at the edge and somebody pushed her in or she jumped in. And then also, so it's like they weren't thinking about people's safety. You know, even after they found out about the man in black, whoever it was, who they've never found out who it is, they didn't put, like, you know, shouldn't people have been told about that there's a possibility? Maybe not. I know they had no evidence of foul play. But there was a possibility because there was someone seen in the area. Just at least tell people to be careful. Tell them at least to be careful at the edge of the water. They never even did that. There's nothing been put there, you know, to make it safer for people. Or, you know, this is what doesn't make sense in this, isn't it? All these things.
Explanation of the scenarios that were under consideration. I've expressed before the hypotheses have been continually reviewed based on the information that is known to the inquiry team and the inquiry team only. Whilst other people may speculate and spread rumours, there is no evidence whatsoever or information, and there has been a vast amount reviewed, I can assure you, in the last almost 3 weeks.
You know, this is just a lie that she's telling now, because she's saying there is no evidence of foul play. But there was, because there was the man in black and there was the screams. So this is just plain not true, unless she didn't know about it then, but I presume she did.
To suggest any third-party involvement or Nicola leaving that field. However, this is an ongoing inquiry. We've got a large dedicated team, and as you can imagine, vast amount of information, some relevant and some not, coming in on a daily basis. So whilst my main working line of inquiry at the moment is that Nicola...
Oh, she's so sarcastic. My main... God, so defensive, so...
Based on the information known to me from the incident and of Nicola herself, and the information and vulnerabilities that have been given to us by her family, that is my main working hypothesis at this time. That does not mean that we aren't continuing to investigate every single line of inquiry, because I can assure you we are, and we, as much as everybody else in this country, wants to find out what's happened to Nicola, to be able to give her 2 children the answers they deserve. So in terms of persistent myths that keep being referred to in the press, the derelict house, which is across the other side of the river, that has been searched 3 times with the permission of the owner, and Nicola is not in there. The red van, we're really, really grateful to members of the public for ringing into the inquiry. We wouldn't have got this far without everybody's help. But I think it's also really obvious that we are being inundated with false information, accusations and rumours, which is distracting us from our work.
I'm just thinking about how differently she's talking from these cases that I've seen over in America. And my little sheriff thing, that I like these sheriffs, because the way they seem to put it in such a nice way. She's put it in a way like, oh, well, we're really grateful, but fuck off because you're all a load of idiots giving us a load of false information. That's how it comes over, very sarcastically from her. Those sheriffs over in America, they seem to say, we're really grateful to, they don't put anybody down. She's contemptuous, really, isn't she, of people giving information, even though they ask for information. It's a really strange attitude. I don't know why she's got that attitude.
The red van has been reported that it was in the area on the morning of the 27th, like many other hundreds of cars that morning. We're really grateful.
Yeah, we're really grateful, but basically that's what she's saying.
The witness who has told us about that, and we are continuing to make inquiries to try and track down a specific van. But from my perspective, being in possession of all the facts and information of this case, I do not believe that to be suspicious, but we are continuing to investigate that so that we can identify whoever was in the area that time to make sure that they can't give us any further information that will assist the investigation. There's also been mention of a number of fishermen that have been seen that morning who, again, were described as suspicious. I myself don't find it suspicious that fishermen would be in the area of a river that morning or carrying fishing rods. But there was some suggestion.
God, she is like, she's a piece of work, isn't she, really?
That one of these males might have been looking to cover his face. We have made numerous appeals for these fishermen to come forward. We have made contact with the local angling clubs, and we have also ascertained the time of the witness passing down that road and checked the CCTV at the Grapes pub, which covers that end of Garstang Road. And we can't see any of those fishermen at that time on that day. But we are continuing to try.
So I wonder if this is Mr. Fife she's talking about, because so she's saying the witness that saw these fishermen, she's saying because we can't find any CCTV, then they didn't exist. Is that what she's saying? Maybe they didn't, but very strange way.
Try and trace these people. Again, I would urge that they are not necessarily suspicious to me, but I'm really keen to trace them to make sure that there's no further information that they can give us that will assist.
I mean, she's practically laughing.
In terms of the glove that has been recovered, you'll no doubt be aware that TikTokers have been playing their own private detectives and have been in the area. A glove has been recovered that is not believed to be relevant to the investigation. It is not Nicola's, but we have got that in our possession. Lastly,
she says, they're playing detectives, but maybe they're just trying to help. Maybe they were just trying to help, Becky, like you asked people to help.
There has been some mention of CCTV specifically at the caravan site that hasn't been working and that's suspicious itself. That is not the case. We have been helped and assisted beyond all belief by the caravan owners in this. The whole community wants to find Nicola and wants to give the family the answers that they deserve. Lastly, the family, and they are the most important part of this. And all this speculation and rumour is affecting them. They've got a loving daughter, sister, partner and mother who is missing, and that is my priority and the priority of the investigation team, and always has. And we can't be detracted from that. I have met the family on a number of occasions and will continue to do so, and they are kept through regularly updated throughout with our progress. There are dedicated family liaison officers who speak daily to the family, and only yesterday spent a significant amount of time with Paul. I can assure you that this investigation has been thoroughly investigated, no differently than any other major investigation from the outset, and that my absolute priority is to do everything we can to provide the answers to Nicola's 2 daughters who need to know where their mummy is. And whilst we have shared information today about specific individual vulnerabilities specific to this case and Nicola, I would ask you to respect the family's privacy in respect of those things.
Gosh, so that's ironic, isn't it? So this was the first time we heard about the specific vulnerabilities. Then she told us to forget about it and not, you know, to respect the family's privacy. But it was Paul who revealed these specific vulnerabilities. And there's a lot of talk, and again, talk, but, you know, that somebody was about to sell that story about her specific vulnerabilities. And that is why, shortly after this press conference, where Rebecca said, oh, you know, respect their privacy. So basically she mentioned it, then said she wasn't going to talk about it anymore. And then later on, a couple of hours later, for whatever reason, which we still don't know, suddenly they revealed us that she was a bloody alcoholic menopausal wreck, according to Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. As I mentioned, we've
okay, now they go on to take some questions there, but I'm going to come off it because there's one thing I want to show you, but yeah, well, so what did you all think about that? Hi, Renee or Renee. It's not all about you, Becky. Sharon says, yeah. So I'm going to come off there now. So yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm just looking through all your messages, but you're all chatting to each other and talking about the case. Share all the things I've been thinking about. Okay. Now I don't know who this Rupert was. Who is Rupert? You know, I don't really understand about that, but it's something to do with Penny, yeah, but I don't really know who he is. But yeah, then they revealed that she was had problems with alcohol, but I don't really believe. I mean, I'm sure she liked to drink. Hi, Maggie. You know, like a lot of people like a drink. It doesn't mean they're an alcoholic, does it? You know, people are sniffy about stuff like that, especially nutty people sometimes. You know, like always keen to complain about what other people do, and they need to think about what they do. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But so it's Penny's son. But what do we know about? Oh, Rupert is her grandson or her son. So what is the grandson called? The one that got really annoyed with Curtis. You know, which to be honest, I don't blame her for getting really annoyed with Curtis. You know, anybody, you know, none of us would like somebody at our door filming, you know, whatever. We just wouldn't. So I do understand that. But I know he swore a lot on that. But, you know, young people these days, they do swear a lot. So... Oh, well, I haven't finished yet, Saskia. I haven't quite finished. Exactly a couple of glasses of civilized wine. My God, you know what? They're the wine police. To me, looking at Nicola's lifestyle with Paul and with all of them, you know, that was the lifestyle they had. And what's wrong with that? They're just enjoying life. Oh, a creator, bad name to me. Who was that then? A creator. You should let me know who it is, because anyway, I mean, I don't care. Do you know, don't bad name any creators. That's why I don't like them really being mentioned on the channel, because I don't like to say good things or bad things about them. But you know what? I've got my opinions about all of them. But anyway, they do their thing, I do my thing. And if they want to say bad things about me, that's fine. I'm sure I'll have been called worse things by people that I actually cared about. I know. Yeah. Oh, the fisherman from St. Michael's. Oh, so the one that... Anyway, never mind. Oh, he's lovely. I think he's lovely. You know, I'm sorry that he badmouthed me, but I think he's adorable. No. Anyway, I don't know anything about him, to be honest. I've heard of him. I think he's the one that... So a lot of the creators sort of manipulate their content, don't they? They put it on, they take it off, they say this, they say that, they do this, they do that, they do the other. You know, so anyway, that's fine. He's enjoying his life, good for him. Right, sorry, I'm going over and reading the chat now. I shouldn't do that. I know. There's so much that I could say about other creators, but I just can't. I can't. Because then you get into these creator wars, and we've all seen what they're like. And you know what? To me, I come on here making videos because of things that I'm interested in. I don't want to go on there just make a video about slagging somebody else off or whatever. What do I want to do that for? I can't turn my microphone. Why can't you hear me? No, I haven't got a microphone. I haven't got a microphone, Ali. So it's just the same as whatever I normally do is what I'm doing. I haven't actually got a microphone. No, I'm not getting involved, Rio. I'm not getting involved. Okay, so I want to show you a picture. I'm going to show you a photo. And I just want to see what you think of it.